Hello, this is Ed from SOS Bookkeeping. This video is about understanding reserve funding for HOAs. And reserve funding involves setting aside funds on a regular basis to cover the costs of major repairs, replacements, improvements to the common elements that are responsibility of the association. The goal is to have sufficient funds available to maintain the community assets and avoid special assessments. That would be the key. The way that amount is established is through a reserve study, which we'll discuss in another video, but that would establish what is required, and then it would be worked into the budget, which would be another video that there should be a link up here too, so you can review. And then once the budget is established, it can be determined how much is going to be required from the regular assessment. So the way reserve funds differ from operating funds is that typically it would be for expenses that are going to occur beyond 1 year. The operating expenses would be things that would typically be done on a regular basis, even a monthly basis, or even more frequently, but definitely within a year. Anything beyond a year would typically go into the reserving and be reserved for. Some examples might be for reserving a roof replacement, painting the exteriors, paving the roads or parking lot, replacement of elevators or HVAC systems, if that's a responsibility for the HOA. The funds would be shown separately on the financial statements, and they need to be, it allows the homeowners to see the assessments and how they're being used and how much is accumulating in each of the accounts. The funds have to be kept separately, and they would typically be kept in a interest-bearing account because you have time to accumulate some earnings on those funds, and they would be transferred when needed, be transferred into the operating expense, which would typically be a current account and checking account that you could then reimburse or pay the vendors for that. Sometimes you'll see in association with this on the books a due to from account, and that is to account for perhaps funds that haven't yet been transferred over to the reserving account would go in there, so they're not showing up as an asset in the operating, but it shows what is due to the reserving account. And as I mentioned, the reserve amount is accomplished with a reserve study, which should be done every year by the end of every year, in conjunction then with the budget, and then that would go into the reserve amount. Now, some associations will produce a separate statement. It's called different things, but basically a summary statement of the use for the reserve account, which would show money in, money out, and what the use was. And it's basically a journal type of ledger that would account for that separately, but the balances and the in and outs would be accounted for in the regular books. So that's a high-level summary of HOA reserving.